Okay, so I think we're in business now. If anyone's watching, let me know if you can't hear me. So this is basic female body blocks for beginners. Apologies about this weird like split screen thing. I'm still trying to figure out kind of how it works. This is the body block from the Costume Technician's Handbook. If you don't have this and you want to start making patterns, I say this is definitely one of the best places to start. This is page in this version, which is the third. This starts on page 109. If you've never done this before, I always recommend that people sort of read what they're getting into before we get to it. But essentially over here, it kind of gives you all of your information that you're going to need, and then we actually get started on page 111. Just because I didn't actually grab any measurements from anyone, I'm going to be doing this as sort of a theoretical. I'm going to use this plot of measurements that they just give you, and I've actually written them down over here on the side of my paper. I'm going to start this in pencil and hope that you can see it. If you can't see it, let me know. I also have ye olde great Sharpie that should be a little more visible, but I tend to haul down on pencils, so we'll see if I can make that work. Okay, so basically, first thing on any body block that you want to do is you make a square, which, of course, now I have to find my ruler, too. Alright, so first thing you want to do is make a square. So for us, this is saying we're essentially making a big square, and this is A, B, C, and D. So they'll give us a measurement of like what measurements they want for A to C, and for B to D, and for A to B, and for C to D. So this is telling me here to do a bunch of math, but it's essentially that A to C, which is across horizontally, and B to D are 1/2 the total bust measurement plus a 1/2 inch. So I know that my bust measurement is 36, and in here they were actually really nice and they gave me the half already, so I don't have to do the math. It's 18. My mother can be proud. But so for A to C and B to D, I'm going to do 18.5 inches. So A to C, B to D, 18.5. And then since I'm here, I'm going to give myself this corner just so I don't have to like plonk the square down and figure out where all of it goes again. Because the next thing they're going to do is make us do A to B. So A to B is the back nape to waist measurement plus the depth of the bust dart. So my back nape to waist is 16, and the depth of the bust dart is an inch. So I'm going 17 inches. So this is going to be an almost square. For those of you who have never done one of these before, this only deals with halves. You're dealing with essentially half the body. You won't get like a full front and a full back. You'll get sort of a half a front and a half a back. So if you are one of those people who is like irregular from side to side, like if one boob is really big or really small because compared to the other one, I have sometimes just drafted twice, one for each side, and then sort of mush mash them together. Alright, so let's label this. I got A. I'll even label in Sharpie because that I know I won't screw up. A, C, B, and D. You guys can almost see B and D there. Let me see if I can get you a little closer so everything shows. Like a good theater person, I spiked my camera, so if I had to move it, I'd be able to get it back where it goes. Alright, but so for right now, you should be able to see we've got a square. And I will Sharpie the square in, just so that doesn't go anywhere. The only reason I started in pencil is because every once in a while I know this body block pattern gets the better of me. And I just want to make sure that I'm not like, oh, not that line, this other one. Because, you know, every once in a while I try to look smart. Feel free to, if you have any questions, if anyone is like, I don't know what's going on, show me. Feel free to, you know, jump in. I think the chat is activated on this. This is my first time using Twitch for this, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But I think the chat should be activated, so if anyone wants to ask a question, feel free to jump in there. All right, so now divide A to C and B to D in half. So A to C, B to D in half, and draw a vertical line, which will be E and F. So A to C, B to D in half is 18 and a half. Half of 18 should be 9, so I'm basically going 9 1/4. The scariest part of this for me is doing it without a calculator, because I swear to you, I calculator everything just because I do not trust my mental math. Of course, I left my calculator at home. I came into our empty costume shop here just to do this, to use the big table. All right, so I'm making a vertical line, E to F, and I will have to swap the page on the book just to make sure I'm putting E and F in the right places, because I would go E at the top, F at the bottom, but sometimes they get smarter than I do. Yes, E at the top, so E and F. What I need here is a thicker Sharpie. There we go. So we got E and F. Oh my God, I can read it. And if you don't have a square, this is my fancy Taylor square. If you don't have a fancy Taylor square, obviously you can do this just with a ruler. Okay, from points A and C, so A and C, measure down 1/4 of the back nape to waist measurement, creating points G and H. So basically we're coming down this way, we're gonna do a line going this way, that's G and H. Again, they've been real nice. They've given me the 1/4 of back nape measurement, if I can find it over here. I thought they'd given it to me. Yeah, 1/4 back length. So I'm coming down 4 inches. Could have done the math again. Math, not my strong suit, as much as I do this. So 4, 4, 4. Make a line. All right, so that then, making sure I get them in the right place, is going to be G and H. So G and H. From points G and H, measure down the same distance again, creating points I and J. Connect I and J. So basically we're going 4 more inches down, and we're going to do I and J. Obviously in Sharpie, there's a little bit of, not dead space, but kerf. There's, this is not just a tiny little pencil line, so these are, like 4 and 15/16, depending on sort of where you're measuring from. Okay, and then we've got I and J, so I and J. Okay, so this is the setup. Now we're ready to actually get started. Okay, so 3 inches to the left and a 1/2 inch up from C, mark K. So can you see me up here, way up in the corner? I think you can. So C, we're coming 3 inches this way and a 1/2 inch up. And this is the part where I generally swap to a different ruler, because this guy just gets big and unwieldy with his extra half. All right, so 3 inches to the left. 3 inches to the left and a 1/2 inch up. So that puts us basically right there. And you'll notice that I do a series of sort of dots and lines to get myself there. And this is K, they're telling me. 3 inches down from K, mark L. So when I'm doing this, and this is a trick it takes a lot of students a while to realize, I'm using the lines that I've got with this big clear ruler, which is why I like these, to get myself sort of on a straight line, so I'm not doing, like this, that K to L down this way. But K to L, I've got all my lines lined up, is supposed to be 3 inches. So right there is an L. And then I believe 2.5 inches down from C, mark M. So we're essentially making a big old box, because there's M. So connect K to L and L to M with straight lines. forming a right angle. So here is going to be your right angle. K to L, L to M. On this book, especially on this draft, really, if you can follow directions and extrapolate basics, you can do this. It's really not that hard. All right, draw the neck curve from K to M as shown. So in the book, if I can get it up here high enough and get it oriented where it goes, in the book you can see here they're showing you like here's your square and here's your curve. So you basically draw the square in to get that curve so you can put it there. So let's go ahead and draw in a curve. Did I bring my curve? Thought I brought my curve. There it is. All right, from K to M, from K to M. I love this French curve. If you don't have one and you're doing any pattern making, oh my God, go get a French curve. They're amazing. Okay. 1 3/8 inches below the A to C line. So 1 3/8 inches below this line, draw a horizontal line. The other thing I love about this ruler is that it will let you do basically big long runs just sort of lined up this way because I can see through it. So there I've got 1 and 1 2 3/8. Where am I putting this line? Only on this side. I was like, this one has tripped me up before and I'm aware of that, so I want to make sure. All right, so to determine the front shoulder line, put the small end of a ruler on K and angle it to hit the horizontal line you've just drawn at exactly the neck to shoulder measurement on the ruler. So I know that my neck to shoulder measurement is 4.5 inches. And this is where sometimes this gets confusing for folks. Oh, and I've moved so you also now can't see my head. There we go. Looked over at the computer, imagine that. Okay, so this is the part that sometimes gets confusing for people. What they're asking you to do is basically say, here is my 4.5 mark. That's the width of my shoulder. So what they're looking at here is getting basically from the base of your neck to your shoulder in. So I know that's 4.5. So I'm going to put 4.5 on K, and then I'm going to take the end of this and basically push it down until it hits that angle. So this here is going to be that measurement here. So at this point we're looking at, this is a neck, we're coming into shoulder. Am I supposed to call that? Mark N and join with a straight line. I already did that. I knew it was coming. It's like I've done this before. All right, so then mark O on the I to J line at the point where it crosses the E to F line. O is the base of the armhole. So we're looking at I to J crossing E to F. So right here is where your armpit goes, and that's what they're calling O. To the left of H, measure out half the front width measurement and mark P. So my front width measurement is 12 on this, so half is going to be 6. Again, they were really nice. They like gave me that. And that's supposed to become P. And then I'm supposed to I'm supposed to measure out this. I'm not. I'm supposed to connect N and P with a straight line. You can tell I don't have this one memorized quite yet. I usually use a different one. We'll get to that draft eventually because it's got like 85,000 more steps. All right, so N to P, connect P to O with a curve as shown. They're basically just showing me curve it through here to connect the armhole. I, a lot of times, will try to freehand this, but for the sake of being a good role model today, I won't. A lot of times you have to come in and sort of, as you go straight to not straight, just kind of like curve that back in nicely. So this now, we've basically got sort of from here up on the front drafted. All right, so next we get into the bust stuff, which this is where stuff gets real exciting. All right, to the left of D, where is D? D, I'll make it nice and bold. To the left of D, measure out 1/4 of the total waist measurement plus the computed width of the front waist dart plus 1/4 inch and mark Q. So at this point we're doing basically this measurement plus whatever we're going to wind up taking out in the dart, plus I'm betting the 1/4 inch is actually their seam allowance. So 1/4 of total waist, which I've got here is 6 inches. Computed width of the front waist dart is, where'd it go? 1.5, so we're at 7.5, plus a 1/4 inch. So we should be at 7 3/4 inches to mark Q. So 7 3/4 inches gives us Q. Q is, they're telling me, the base point for the side seam. Q is just going to kind of hang out there for now. We'll go back up into the bust area and come back to Q. All right, to the left of D, measure out half the total bust point to bust point measurement and draw a vertical line up to the I and J line. This is the center of the front waist dart. So we're starting to put in a line here that tells us where the dart's going to wind up happening. All right, what were those measurements again? Half the total bust point to bust point. So half bust point to bust point I've got here is 3 3/4. So to the left of D, and then 3 3/4 up to J and I with O in the middle. Means that this line becomes where our bust point goes. Find the center of the shoulder line, K to N, and mark R. So this, if it's 4 1/2, should be 2 1/4. So R winds up right in the middle there. Place the ruler with the small end on R and angle it so it hits the line drawn exactly at the shoulder to the bust point measurement on the ruler. Mark S. This is the bust point. So for this one, we've actually done a measurement that is center shoulder to sort of the bust point, which is really it's where your nipple is, or where sort of your fullest part is. And on here, they've told me that, I know I've got it in here, is 9 inches. So again, sort of like what we did with K to N, put it on the line. We're going R to down here, knowing that it's 9 inches. So I've got one end on R, and I'm hitting 9 on the line, because that was the measurement we've got. So that is where my bust point winds up. So this is S, which is our bust point. All right, draw a line through S, horizontal to I and J, out to lines E, F, and CD. So basically what they want me to do is continue this line in a tailoring draft. They'd call this square out from S both ways. But they want me to continue that line both ways. This is the bust point line. So bust point line. Hooray. All right, to the left of S, so we're going this way, towards the EF line, measure out a 1/2 inch and mark T for the point of the bust dart. So this is setting us up to do a bust dart that comes out, how can I make hands do this? It comes out this way and collapses, and I believe this will also do here, one that comes out here. So I think we're doing basically side seam, waist dart. We'll see if I'm right. Been a hot second again. All right, so this is T for the point of the bust dart. So this is a good thing to see if you're a beginning patterner, or if you're a home sewer who has put darts and stuff and is kind of going, oh God, why does this look so weird and so funky? You always stop your dart just shy of the point. Otherwise, you get that weird darty thing where it gives you that sort of nipple indent, and that no one wants that. No one wants a nipple indent. All right, so we got T. Turning the page, where are we going? Okay, so on the EF line, so EF, measure down the bust point line, the total computed depth of the bust dart, and mark U. And the bust dart is one of those things that they give you in the tables in the beginning of this. So your bust dart, they will tell you based on bust size over here, where does it go? They also give you width of waist dart over here, where does it go? If you hang with me and you watch me do the big, like, complex one, they make you calculate that yourself. We'll get there eventually. But this one, it's nice, they just give it to you. Of course, now I've lost where I was. Okay, measure down from the bust point line the total computed depth of the bust dart and mark U. So depth of bust dart I've got is 1 inch. So it's coming down here. That's 1 inch from the bust point line, and I'm gonna mark U. Connect T and U with a straight line. I believe this is the center of your bust dart. Yep, that's what they're telling me. So T to U. And then on the E to F line, measure out 1/2 the total bust dart depth on each side of U and mark. So since my bust dart depth was 1 inch, I'm going to do 1/2 inch on either side of U. maybe a little bigger than half an inch just because I'm dealing with a fatty marker. And mark, connect each of those with the bust dart point. So this bit now, this is all dart that you'll probably cut out as you cut the pattern out of the paper. All right, for the side seam, so this is where they're actually gonna, so this is where we're gonna sort of adjust the bust dart for where it needs to go. Because if we were just to sort of bring these together here, this one you can see would be longer. That is, let's call it 5 and 5 1/4. This one is closer to 5, so I got a 1/4 inch extra here. This on the side seam is where we'll adjust for that and connect this all down to Q, so this becomes one straight side seam when we take this bust dart out. All right, measure the length of the top line of the bust dart. That was 5. From T, the point of the bust dart, measure out the same length on the bottom line of the bust dart and mark V. So 5 inches there, we're taking away our 1/4 inch. That becomes V. Connect V and Q with a straight line. So here is our side seam. And then connect V to U, which, okay. I am a dart cutter outer, so like this is kind of dumb because I'm just going to cut that out. If you're not a dart cutter outer, connect V to U. Feel accomplished. All right, front waist dart. So we are doing a dart here and a dart here. This is already the center line, they're telling me. So on this line, measure down 1 inch from S towards the BD line. So I'm coming down this way because B and D is here. Again, this is basically, we're just backing off from the actual bust point so we don't get a weird, like, nipple-y thing. All right, mark W for the point of the waist dart. So there is our W. On the BD line, on both sides of the spot where the waist dart center line falls, measure out half the total waist dart, mark waist dart width and mark. So this is our center line, and our width on our waist dart is, as I look for it, 1.5 inches. So I'm going 3/4 to either side. So there's 3/4, there's 3/4. And then those will connect to W. The nice thing is, since these are basically the same on both sides, you don't have to do any sort of adjustment down here. There are some bodies you wind up having to do adjustment on, but for now, I believe this is just, hey look, we're there, that's a dart. So this will disappear as we cut it out. And ta-da, here is the front of your body block. So this fits here. All right, let's move on. We're gonna do the back, which again starts, we basically do the same sort of sequence again, where I start you with the neck and you work down into the armpit and all of that. So here we go with the back. If I move the book, you guys can still see it. We're cooking with gas, I love it. Okay, so for the back neck, 2.5 inches to the right of A, so this is our A, 2.5 inches and a 1/2 inch up, mark AA. So I'm gonna cheat because I can do a 1/2 inch and 2.5 at the same time and say that right there is AA. Connect A to AA with a slight curve, much like we did over here. Some blocks will actually make you like square this out. This one doesn't. I, honest to God, don't square things out much anymore because I'm like, I don't know, it's here. I know what I'm doing. All right, to the right of G, measure out half the total back width and mark BB. So my back width is 13, which means that my half is 16.5. Not 16.5, 6.5. Math, always excellent. So 6.5 there is BB. I've been watching someone online play Death Stranding, and so now I can't hear BB without thinking of the Bridge Babies. Crazy game. Crazy game. 3 inches up from BB, mark CC. There's your CC. Place the small end of the ruler on AA and angle it so it passes through CC. This should be the measurement from K to N plus a 1/2 inch, because you always want to add a little bit in your back to sort of ease it in. So what were we actually here? We were, let's call it 4.5. So we're going to go 5 through CC. maybe. All right, so that is actually my DD. And then DD to BB is a straight line. And then BB to O is going to be curved, much like this one. And again, it'll be a little exciting because we're doing straight line into curve. So you'll probably have to futz with that BB area a little bit. Back armhole, ta-da! And in the back here, I believe we are only doing a dart up from the bottom, which is all you generally get in the back. Sometimes you'll have a dart in from here, but this is a pretty normal place to put your dart, and then it's real easy to sort of move into that like back princess seam if you need to. All right, to the right of B, down here, measure out 1/4 the total waist measurement plus the width of the waist dart minus 1/4 inch. All right, 1/4 of my total waist measurement is 6 inches, plus the width of the waist dart, which I believe, yep, 1.5, so we're at 7.5 minus 1/4 inch. So it's going to be 7 1/4 from B to EE. So there is our EE. Which EE and Q, I believe, are basically like, this is where these two will come together to make a side seam. This is the seam out of your armpit. Draw a vertical line from EE to the IJ, to the IJ line. All right, so we're coming straight up to this sort of armpit level line up here. Do you need to mark anything? No, doesn't care. Measure the length of the V to Q line on the front section of the block. So over here, they're basically setting us up to get our side seams to match. So this, we're gonna call it 6 1/4. Place the ruler with the small end on the top of the bust dart, where it meets the E to F line. So E to F line, top of bust dart. And angle it towards the vertical line just drawn on the back section until the V to Q measurement on the ruler crosses the vertical line, and mark FF. So basically from the top of the bust dart, we're doing 6 1/4. And again, we're doing that, put the thing here, make it match on the line. So we're at there. Looks pretty good. And then I say connect FF and this, I was only supposed to mark here. This is why I don't do this in pen. So I'm supposed to mark it, but then this line is junk. This point, which they don't give in, do they give it? No, they do give it a name. So this is FF. So then FF matches to O. You can tell it's been a while since I've actually done this draft. So then this and this match. All right, so back waist. Now we're getting down to the darts. We're getting down to the very, very end of this. So draw a line to the left of FF towards the AB line that is parallel to the BD line, where it intersects AB, mark GG. So this is, in a real tailoring draft, again, they would say square back from FF. So I'm making sure everything is square back from FF, and that gives us GG. GG. To the left of FF, measure out half the distance between FF and GG plus 3/4 inch. So how far away are you? 7 1/4. So that's gonna be 3.5 and 3.5 to 7 to 1/4. So it's gonna be like just over 3.5, like 3 1/8. Should be right there. And they don't give this a letter. I think just basically because they're like, you're almost done with this, forget it with the letters, just get there. Draw a vertical line up to the I to J line. That's the center line for the back dart. And then on the B to D line, to both sides of the back waist dart center line, which really, this should be on the I to J line. But the way they're doing it is they're giving you this, and then they're, I think, subtracting that like slight amount that it will angle up. So I'm actually going to mark down here so I have a point to measure from. So this is half the width of the waist dart and mark. So essentially we're doing this again, and these were 3/4. Yeah, I wanted to make sure my waist starts didn't change. These are 3/4, so 3/4, 3/4. They connect up here. And this, actually this, is your back dart. And this also goes away, so this just disappears because then you have this length from 0, or from O to FF, which is 8 inches, will match with O through V to Q, which is also 8 inches. So here I generally label, just because I'm special and can forget, front and back. Cut this out, and then if you were this mythical person with the measurements that they gave us, bust 36, waist 24, this would be where you can start basically creating patterns from. So from this, there are ways to sort of move the darts around. There are ways to get rid of them entirely, which are a little hinky and exciting. But this is sort of a good start to sort of any basic body forming garment that you're interested in making. If this was helpful, feel free to leave me a note, let me know. If this was completely unhelpful, feel free to leave me a note and let me know. If there's anything you want to see me do, feel free to leave me a note and let me know. I think the next thing I'm going to try to do is either sleeves or sort of the more advanced body block that I usually use for people of size like myself. Because this one is great sort of up to a 10 or a 14. But then when you get into sort of 18 and above, she gets a little hinky. She starts wanting to do this weird, tiny bent over arm's eye thing, which I have never met a fat person with an arm's eye the way this thing seems to think fat people have arm's eyes. So I've actually developed a sort of hybrid way of doing it with another body block that I use a lot. So I'm thinking of doing that. I'm thinking of showing people sleeves because sleeves panic the world. But if there's anything that you specifically want to see in costume patterning techniques, let me know. I'm here. I'm not furloughed, but I'm not really doing anything too important. So I'm here for you. Awesome. Thanks, guys.